Hello, hello, and welcome to the Morgan Library. My name is Miss Lindsay, and welcome to another Teen Talk Tuesday. So, for this month's book, I will be reading Dear Martin by Nick Stone. Raw and Gripping from Jason Reynolds. A Must-Read by Angie Thomas. Powerful Wrenching by John Green. Let's get into it. I believe that unarmed truth and unconditional love will have the final word in reality. Reverend Dr. Martin Luther King Jr., Nobel Peace Prize acceptance speech, December 10th, 1964. Part 1. Chapter 1. From where he's standing across the street, Justyce can see her, Milo Taylor, ex-girlfriend, slumped over beside her Benz on the damp concrete of the Farm Fresh parking lot. She's missing a shoe, and the contents of her purse are scattered around her like the guts of a pooled party pooper. He knows she's stone drunk, but this is too much, even for her. Just shakes his head, remembering the judgment all over his best friend Manny's face as he left Manny's house not 15 minutes ago. The walk symbol appears. As he approaches, she opens her eyes, and he waves and pulls his earbuds out just in time to hear her say, "What the hell are you doing here?" Justyce asks himself the same question as he watches her try and fail to shift her knees. She falls over sideways and hits her face against the car door. He drops down and reaches for her cheek, which is as red as the candy apple paint job. "Geez, Milo, are you okay?" She pushes his hand away. "What do you care?" Stung, Justyce takes a deep breath. He cares a lot. Obviously. If he didn't, he would have walked a mile from Manny's house at 3 a.m. Manny's of the opinion that Milo's the worst thing that ever happened to Just. So of course he refused to give his boy a ride. All to keep his drunken disaster of an ex from driving. He should walk away right now. Justyce should, but he doesn't. "Jessa called me," he tells me. "That skank, don't be like that, babe. She only called me because she cares about you." Jessa had planned to take Milo home herself, but Mel threatened to call the cops and say she'd been kidnapped if Jessa didn't drop her at their car. Milo can be a little dramatic when she's drunk. "I'm totally unfollowing her," she says, case in point, "in life and online." Nosy tramp. Justyce shakes his head again. "I just came to make sure you get home okay." That's when it hit Justyce that while he might succeed in getting Milo home, he has no idea how he'll get back. He closes his eyes as Manny's words ring through his head. "This Captain Save-A-Ho thing is going to get you in trouble, dog." He looks Milo over. She's now sitting with her head leaned back against the car door, half asleep, mouth open. He sighs. Even drunk, just can't deny Milo's the finest girl he's ever laid eyes, not to mention hands on. She starts to tilt, and Justyce catches her by the shoulders to keep her from falling. She startles, looking at him wide-eyed, and just can see everything about her that initially caught his attention. Milo's dad is this Hall of Fame NFL linebacker. Big, dark dude. But her mom is from Norway. She got Mrs. Taylor's milky Norwegian complexion, wavy hair the color of honey, and amazing green eyes that are kind of purple around the edge. But she has really full lips, a small waist, crazy curvy hips, and probably the nicest butt Just has ever seen in his life. That's part of his problem. He gets too tripped up by how beautiful she is. He never would have dreamed a girl as fine as her would be into him. Now he's got the urge to kiss her, even though her eyes are red, and her hair is a mess. She smells like vodka and cigarettes. But when he goes to push her hair out of her face, she shoves his hand away again. "Don't touch me, Justyce." She starts shifting her stuff around on the ground, Lipstick, Kleenex, tampons, one of those circular thingies with the makeup in one half and the mirror in the other. A flask. Ugh, where are my keys? Justice spots them in front of the back tire and snatches them up. You're not driving, Milo. Give them! She swipes for the keys but falls into his arms instead. Justice props her up against the car again and gathers the rest of her stuff to put back in her bag, which is large enough to hold a week's worth of groceries. What is it with girls and purses the size of duffel bags? He unlocks the car, tosses the bag on the floor in the back seat, and tries to get Milo up off the ground. Then, everything goes really wrong, really fast. First, she throws up all over the hoodie Justice is wearing, which belongs to Manny, who specifically said, "Don't come back here with throw up on my hoodie." Perfect. Just shakes off the sweatshirt and tosses it in the back seat. When he tries to pick Milo up again, she slaps him hard. "Leave me alone, Justice," she says. "I can't do that, Mel. There's no way you'll make it home if you try to drive yourself." She tries to lift her by the armpits, and she spits in his face. Yeesh. He considers walking away again. He could call her parents, stick her keys in the pocket, and bounce. Oak Ridge is probably the safest neighborhood in Atlanta. She'd be fine for the 25 minutes it would take Mr. Taylor to get here. But he can't. Despite Manny's assertion that Milo needs to suffer some consequences for once, leaving her here all vulnerable doesn't seem like the right thing to do. And so, he picks her up and tosses her over his shoulder. Milo responds in her usual delicate fashion. She screams and beats him on his back with her fists. Justice struggles to get the back door open and is lowering her into the car when he hears the whoop of a short siren and sees the blue lights. In a few seconds, it takes the police car to screech to a stop behind him. Justice settles Milo in the back seat. Now she's gone catatonic. Justice can hear the approaching footsteps, but he stays focused on getting Milo strapped in. He wants it to be clear to the officer that she wasn't going to drive, so she won't be in even more trouble. Before he can get his head out of the car, he feels a tug of his shirt and is yanked backward. His head smacks the door frame just before a hand clamps down on the back of his neck. His upper body slams onto the trunk with so much force he bites the inside of his cheek and his mouth fills with blood. Just swallows, head spinning, unable to get his bearings. The sting of cold metal around his wrists pulls him back to reality. Handcuffs. It hits him. Milo is drunk beyond belief in the back seat of a car she fully intended to drive, and yet Justice is the one in handcuffs. The cop shoves him to the ground beside the police cruiser, and he asks if Justice understands his rights. Justice doesn't remember hearing his rights, but his ears have been ringing for the 2 blows to his head, so maybe he missed them. He swallows more blood. "Officer, this is a big misunderstanding." He starts to hit, but he doesn't get to finish because the officer hits him in the face. "Don't you say crap to me, you..." Ooh, never mind. "I knew your punk butt was up to no good when I saw you walking down the road when that hood of yours..." So the hood was a bad idea. Earbuds too. Probably would have noticed he was being trailed without them. "But Officer you keep your mouth shut." The cop squats and gets right in Justice's face. "I know your kind. Punks like you wandering the streets of nice neighborhoods, searching for prey. Just couldn't resist a pretty white girl who'd locked her keys in her car, could you? Except that doesn't even make sense. If Mel had locked the keys in the car, Just wouldn't have been able to get her inside, now would he?" Justice finds the officer's nameplate. Castillo, it reads. The guy looks like a regular white dude. Mama told him how to handle this type of situation. Though he must admit he never expected to actually keep the advice. "Be respectful. Keep your anger in check. Make sure the police can see both of your hands." Though that's impossible right now. "Officer Castillo, I mean no disrespect. I told you to be quiet." He wishes he could see Milo, get her to tell the cop the truth, but the dude is blocking his view. "Now, if you know what's good for you, you won't move or speak. Resistance will only land you in deeper crap. You got it?" Cigarette breath and flecks of spit hit Justice's face as the cop speaks. But Justice fixes his gaze on the glowing green F on the Farm Fresh sign. "Look at me when I'm talking to you, boy." He grabs Justice's chin. "I asked you a question." Justice swallows. Meets the cold blue of Officer Castillo's eyes, clears his throat. "Yes, sir," he says. "I got it." August 25th. Dear Martin, aka Dr. King, first and foremost, please know I mean you no disrespect with the whole Martin thing. I studied you and your teachings for a project in 10th grade, so it feels most natural to interact with you as a homie. Hope you don't mind that. A quick intro. My name is Justyce McAllister. I'm a 17-year-old high school senior and a full scholarship student at Braselton Preparatory Academy in Atlanta, Georgia. I'm ranked 4th in my graduating class of '83. I'm the captain of the debate team. I scored a 11560 and a 34 on my SATs and ACTs, respectively. And despite growing up in a bad area, not too far from your old stomping grounds, I have a future ahead of me that will likely include an Ivy League education, an eventual law degree, and a career in public policy. Sadly, during the wee hours of this morning, literally none of that mattered. Long story short, I tried to do a good deed and wound up on the ground in handcuffs. And despite the fact that my ex-girl was visibly drunk off her butt, I apparently looked so menacing in my prep school hoodie that the cop who cuffed me called for backup. The craziest part is while I thought everything would be cool as soon as her parents got there, no matter what they told the cops, these dudes would not release me. Mr. Taylor offered to call my mom, but the cops made it clear that since I'm 17, I'm considered an adult when placed under arrest. AKA, there's nothing Mama could do. Mr. Taylor wound up calling my friend SJ's mom, Mrs. Fieldman, an attorney, and she had to come bark up a bunch of legal hoo-ha in the cop's face before they undo the cuffs. By the time they finally let me go, the sun was coming up. It's been hours, Martin. Mrs. F didn't say a whole lot as she drove me to my dorm, but she made me promise to go by the infirmary to get some cold packs for my swollen wrists. I called my mama to tell her what happened, and she said she'll file a complaint first thing in the morning, but I doubt it'll do any good. Frankly, I'm not really sure what to feel. I never thought I'd be in this situation. There was this kid, Shamar Carson, black dude, my age, shot and killed in Nevada by this white cop back in June. The details are hazy since there weren't any witnesses, but what's clear is this cop shot an unarmed kid 4 times. Even fishier, according to the medical examiners, there was a 2-hour gap between the estimated time of death and when the cop called it in. Before the incident last night, I hadn't really thought much about it. There's a lot of conflicting information, so it's hard to know what to believe. Shamar's family and friends said he was a good dude, headed to college, active in his youth group. But the cops claims he caught Shamar trying to steal a car. A shuffle ensued, allegedly, and according to the police report, Shamar tried to grab the cop's gun, and so the cop shot Shamar in self-defense. I don't know. I've seen some pictures of Shamar Carson, and he did have kind of a thuggish appearance. In a way, I guess I thought I didn't really need to concern myself with this kind of thing, because compared to him, I don't come across as threatening, you know? I don't sag my pants or wear my clothes super big. I go to a good school and have goals and vision and a great head on my shoulders, as Mama likes to say. Yeah, I grew up in a rough neighborhood, but I know I'm a good dude, Martin. I thought if I made sure to be an upstanding member of society, I'd be exempt from the stuff those black guys deal with, you know? Really hard to swallow that I'm wrong. All I can think now is, how different would things have gone had I not been a black guy? I know initially the cop could only go by what he saw, which probably didn't seem a little sketchy, but I never had my character challenged like that before. Last night changed me. I don't want to walk around all pissed off and looking for problems, but I know I can't continue to pretend that nothing's wrong. Yeah, there are no more colored water fountains, and it's supposed to be illegal to discriminate. But if I can be forced to sit on the concrete in 2 tight cuffs when I've done nothing wrong, it's clear there's an issue. That things aren't as equal as folks say they are. I need to pay more attention, Martin, and start really seeing things and writing it down. Figure out what to do with it. That's why I'm writing to you. You faced way more stuff than sitting in handcuffs for a few hours. But you stuck to your guns. Well, your lack thereof, actually. I want to try to live like you, do what you do, see where it gets me. My wrist is killing me, so I have to stop writing now. But thanks for hearing me out. Sincerely, Justyce McAllister. And that was part 1, chapter 1 of Dear Martin. This kind of novel, it kind of hits home because we've heard about this kind of situation before. And unfortunately, I don't believe this is going to be the end of these kind of sad situations involving Black men and police. But hopefully, the future can change. Thank you very much for joining me today, and I will see you next time. Bye-bye.